Okay, so yesterday we printed out your picture. So if you do not have a photocopy of somebody that you want that is very similar to that picture, then in size, then you're stuck doing your self-portrait. Okay? So on that self-portrait side, remember we were to measure out every ½ inch, and we were going to grid that out so it's very dark. Okay? And that's kind of what we want. We want a nice dark grid over our image, every ½ inch. Now, when we go to draw this, we may think to ourselves, there is no way that I can draw that because there's way too much information there. Like you might say, I can't draw a nose, I can't draw eyes, I can't draw that mouth, can't draw those ears, can't draw that hair, can't draw that shirt. When you hear all that I can't nonsense, that's really the left side of your brain. You have two sides, the left and the right side. Your left is your logical side. That's really the left side of your brain telling you you can't do that stuff. Even though your left side of your brain is your logical side, it's also the side that gives you a lot of self-doubt, tells you you can't do things. And so what we have to do in our art class is try to do things that will shut off that left side of your brain and allow you to just kind of relax, get in your right side of your brain and do things. And so when we first started this process, we talked about in practice how to do the grid. Remember? We did goofy shapes, we did landscapes, we did portraits, we did all that stuff, and we practiced plotting over the image. Now that had a purpose and a reason. The purpose and the reason is we can take a complicated image and simplify it into basic squares. And you're looking at things by ½ inch by ½ inch. And by doing that, you guys, you are going to simplify your image to line, shapes, and values. And that's what we want. We want you to be thinking about line, shapes, and values. Not is it an eye, is it a nose, is it a mouth, is it an ear. We want lines, shapes, and values. And you're thinking about that. So also help that when you get ready to draw this, you guys, we're going to take it and turn it upside down. So this is going to be turned upside down like this. Now let me zoom into how I'd like to see you set up here. So you're upside down like this, and then you're going to get two cover sheets. You're going to do one cover sheet that's going to go right across this line right here, your first row. And then your second cover sheet, have it up above, coming off the top here, and like this. So all that is exposed here is the one single corner. Now, when you draw, this is the level you're drawing at. You're drawing at 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch boxes. All right? I look at that and I see, okay, that's pretty much a value. I can draw that value. And I take my design that's already done, and I take my value, and I match it, and I put it in that box. When I'm done with that box, you guys, I'm going to take this top, and I'm going to slide it over a box, and I'm going to do that box. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to slide over another box, and I'm going to do this box. And so we're doing this one box at a time. Do not get lazy and think, oh, it's pretty much all the same value. I'm going to just color this whole row this. No. You stay in it and you stay doing one box at a time, because as you get into more complicated things, it's going to make it easier. So one box at a time as you go across. This assignment, you guys, is going to take us a week to a week and a half to complete. If you're whipping through this, you're going way too fast. All right? So, today you should have your light grid on your drawing paper. your dark grid on your face. Now, when I get ready to start this, let me zoom out again. When I get ready to start this, I need to take my light grid, about that. I need to take my light grid and I scribble out the far right side and the bottom 2 rows. Okay? The far right side, the far right row, and the bottom 2 rows. So, the far right row and the bottom 2 rows we scribble out. Okay? And that'll get us the size of our picture. Now, this whole process I did not invent or come up with. This is actually something that's been come up with over time throughout art. And actually in the 70s there was an artist by the name of Chuck Close who did this and kind of perfected this whole process of gridding. He would do portraits and then he would make them giant. I'm saying from the ceiling to the floor to this wall to this pillar here would be one of his images. But he would start with a little photograph like what we have and then blow it up, right? And so today I'm going to show you a little video, a short video on Chuck Close. It's about an 8-minute video. And you'll hear him talk about things like, you know, I don't draw a nose or a mouth or an eye or anything. I just basically draw what I see. And that's where we got to get you guys at too, where you're just looking at the boxes. If you look at this image here, you can see where he's doing his grid. You see how his grid is at an angle, kind of turned? And midway through his career, he had a blood clot laying in his back and left him paralyzed. So his drawings did not become as realistic. And so now he draws with some help. And this is a way that he does it. And actually, this is just colors, kind of like a jawbreaker. You ever seen like one of those jawbreakers that you chomp into and the colors are in there? It's kind of like a jawbreaker. And it, when you zoom out from this, you will see the color or the image, and it's actually an image of himself. And so we'll get it going here. For us. Like I said, it's about 8 minutes long. This is on CBS Sunday morning.
And here again is Charles Osgood.
Stepping back from these small squares of paint reveals a self-portrait of the artist, Chuck Close. Stepping into Close's studio reveals an artist of phenomenal talent and great physical courage. Come see for yourself. A circle here, a heart shape there. Could there be hidden meaning in these images?
The building blocks of my paintings are not symbolic. They don't stand for anything.
Every day, Chuck Close paints little squares.
And it's a little bit like an architect picking a brick. You stack up the bricks one way, you get a cathedral. You stack up the bricks another way, and you get a gas station.
But take a step back, and it becomes clear this is no gas station. Over 4 decades, Chuck Close has been reinventing the art of the portrait. Even though for almost 2 of those decades he has done it confined to a wheelchair. More on that shortly.
So here's where all the decisions are made. I mean, literally at this distance, I never go back. Yeah, I know from years and years of experience what 4 or 5 or 6 of these colors will do from a distance.
He starts every painting the same way, with a photograph. Do you number these
Yeah.
so that you know which square and how?
If you look at the photograph, every square here will become 4 squares in the painting. There is no drawing on the canvas other than the grid. I never draw a nose, I never draw a lip or anything like that.
We first visited Chuck Close in 1981. He was working out on an exercise bicycle in his New York studio. Our visit was during his photorealism period. Close's paintings were so real, some viewers thought they were looking at photographs. And they were big, really big. The first painting Close sold was a 9-foot picture of himself, blemishes and all.
There's all kinds of evidence embedded in the person's face as to what kind of life they've led. It's a sort of roadmap of their life. If they've laughed their whole lives, they have laugh lines. If they've frowned their whole lives, they have furrows in their brow.
But when Sunday Morning visited Chuck Close again in 1991, the roadmap of his life had taken an unexpected turn. He could barely walk. 2 years earlier, at age 49, a blood clot had formed in an artery leading to his spine. For weeks, he couldn't move any part of his body below his shoulders. He feared he would never paint again.
I was scared to death. Scared to death. I think I always thought I was going to make it. I was scared of living trapped in a body that didn't work.
His wife convinced doctors that encouraging him to paint again would help her husband recover, physically and mentally.
So we began to work with my occupational therapist in the hospital and try and get to orthotic devices, something that I could use to hold a brush. And they built me a wheelchair accessible easel, and I used occupational therapy for what I thought it was supposed to be, a way to get back to your occupation. And I started to paint while I was still in the hospital.
Today, you can find Chuck Close painting in his Bridgehampton, Long Island studio, or at a second studio in New York City. His ability to walk has all but vanished. A brace supports his arm. His brushes are held by a strap on his hand. And he now paints with his entire arm, not just his wrist and fingers. And there are other adjustments.
And then this up and down so that I'm always at, the right height.
Has your work suffered, or is in some ways has it ripened and gotten better?
What's changed is perhaps a slightly brighter palette, a more celebratory nature to the work, because I was just so happy to be able to get back to work and to find a way to work again. The other thing is that there are so many other things that I used to love to do that I put a lot of time and energy into. I used to mow the lawn and cut brush and dig holes and chop down trees and walk on the beach and the roughhouse with my kids and all of this stuff that I can't do anymore. Thankfully, if I'm only going to be able to still do something that I used to do, I'm pretty lucky that it turned out to be painting.
His family is the center of his life. He likes to paint them. His wife, Leslie. His daughters, Georgia and Maggie. He also paints his friends, including many other artists. Close says his paintings have evolved, moving away from superrealism to focus more on abstract elements in the face. Occasionally does somebody look at what you've done and say you'd be mad that you've done what you have to their face?
Oh, almost always. Almost everybody hates the way they look. Some people immediately change the way they look. Grow a beard if they didn't have one, or shave it off if they did. But I would say just wait another 10, 15 years and you won't mind, you won't hate it so much.
Which may be why Close remains his own favorite subject. You've done so many self-portraits.
Yes. I never thought of them as a body work until recently there was a retrospective of only self-portraits. And then I thought, oh my God, how narcissistic, how incredibly self-involved and egotistical and even I'm tired of me. I don't want to see another image of myself.
In recent years, Close has begun to focus on photography. He uses the earliest form of capturing an image, daguerreotypes.
It's exactly the same process as 1840. And in my opinion, photography never got any better than it was at the very beginning. Everything I love is already there.
And the bigger the better. Last fall, corporate giant United Technologies displayed an assortment of Close's images in a New York park.
I wanted to celebrate ordinary people, so I decided to use them because they are so intimate.
Chuck Close is 66 now. His work sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it is shown all over the world. 20 years after he almost died, he says he is one of the happiest artists you'll ever meet.
There is no artist alive working today who gets more pleasure day in and day out, year in, year out, than I do, period. None. I know there is no man or woman who gets more pleasure than I do.
Okay, that's Chuck Close, guys. He's doing the exact same process as us. He's perfected it, made a living of it. You know, he makes big money from it. They said there he makes, $100 and some thousand a painting that he does, but it takes him a while to do it, obviously. So it can happen if you trust the process. You got to trust the whole process of going slow, box by box, make sure it's planned out appropriately, okay? So, with that being said, you have today to either finish gridding or anything else you need.